That brings us to the co-main event. The co-main event, Dominick Reyes versus Jan Blachowicz. So I was stoked for this fight. I really, really was. When I first heard of Dom, he beat a guy by the name of Chris Weidman. Just flatline, but put him down. I was like, holy smokes, who is this guy? First time I heard of Jan, I saw his highlights. He knocked Luke Rockhold senseless. Luke Rockhold at one point was one of the best middleweights on planet Earth. Am I wrong? I don't think I am. He sincerely was. And he hit him out of his freaking gloves. It was unbelievable. I think he broke Rockhold's jaw. And then obviously Dominick has that beautiful fight against Jon Jones where he just went out guns blazing, and many people, including myself, thought that Dominick won that round, that he beat Jon Jones. And now the UFC did a brilliant thing, right? They paint Jon Jones as the greatest of all time. They show you the fight with Dominick and how well he did. So they rub that shine from Jon onto Dom. And now when you have Dominick facing Jan, you have that added hype. The only bad thing with Jon Jones being gone, man, is Jon Jones is a star. But unfortunately, it takes two to tango, right? He wasn't getting those big fights anymore. So now, if someone hadn't watched the UFC for a while and you hear about Dominick Reyes and Jan Blachowicz, you're like, who the hell are these guys, right? Because you don't know who they are. But if you're watching currently, you know Dom's the guy who almost, or in many people's minds, did beat Jon Jones. You know that Jan's the guy who just flatlined Luke Rockhold. So when they're fighting, you're excited because you know Dom's footwork, you know his speed, you know his striking, you know Jan has got power, you know he's underrated. So you're so excited for this fight, man. And I remember it was about to start, and I thought to myself, I was like, you know what, man? I feel like people are sleeping on Jan. Like, I feel like Jan has some real potential in this. But immediately when I thought that, the other voice in my head went like, Daniel, man, you're talking about, like, if you want to break down MMA math, this is why MMA math absolutely sucks. Jon Jones beats everybody, correct? Dominick Reyes, in my mind, just beat Jon Jones, or for the sake of argument, almost beat him. So does that mean that Dominick will automatically beat Jan? Like, but it doesn't work like that. It makes MMA math is absolutely crazy. So the fight starts off. My own prediction was I thought Dom was going to win. I thought his footwork and his technique were just a little bit too crisp, and it would put Jan down. Especially with Jan, his age, man, he's getting older. He's 37 years old. You got to think, how many more chances are they going to have? Fight starts off, and Jan does this beautifully, man. He uses this technique, this kick to the stomach. If I'm not mistaken, his left kick. I'm just trying to think, is Jan, is he orthodox or is he southpaw? I believe he's orthodox. Okay, orthodox, that's what I thought. So the very beautiful thing, and this is what I believe Paul Felder was saying on commentary, was Jan Blachowicz would do this beautiful technique where he'd throw a left roundhouse kick right to the midsection to Dominick Reyes. After 2 or 3 times, man, you could see it. You could see there was some bad bruising going on. It didn't look good. And he's hitting him with a pop, pop. And then what he would do so beautifully is he's a powerful guy and he's right-handed. So as he kicks you with his left leg in the gut, he's setting you up for the right hand. So every time he's kicking you with the left, he's pushing you onto his right side. And that just worked out so well so many times. He kicked him, and then the shot came, and he kicked him, and then the shot came, and a couple of times it went off Dom's guard, a couple of times it missed, 1 or 2 times it did land, and you could see him buckle, and we later found out that, not even later, in the highlights, you found out that he broke his nose. He punched this man so hard, he broke his nose mid-fight. I don't know if you guys have ever had a broken nose before. I've been lightly tapped on my nose, man, and your eyes start watering. It's just such a weird feeling. So to think that this guy broke his nose and then at least he covered up, man. And after that, Jan just went and just pounded him. He just absolutely pounded him. He went down, he started hitting him. I thought it was a really good stoppage. The ref gave him 2, 3, 4 unanswered shots just to make sure if Dom can move, man, but he was just eating him. He was eating him clean. Ref goes in, man. Jan wins. And I think everybody was surprised. I think everybody counted out Jan, especially the amount of shine they put on Jon Jones, and then saying how close Dom was to beating Jon Jones. And having Jan beat Dom, I think did amazing things for him. I really, really did. Crazy stat. This is the first time since 2011. This is the first time in 9 years that a person has held the light heavyweight championship that is not named Jon Jones or Daniel Cormier. For the last 9 years, Jon Jones was the title, beats everybody, gets suspended due to some other things. Daniel Cormier gets the title. Jon Jones comes back, whoops him for the title. Jon Jones gets suspended for some other things. DC gets the title again. DC gives up the title to go to heavyweight. Jon Jones gets the title. Like it's I've been playing hot potato with the title for damn near a decade. So this is it really is a new chapter in the light heavyweight division. For a long time, when you have a king like Jon Jones who kind of rules over there, it almost becomes, I don't want to say stagnant, but it's you get used to it, and it's just like, oh, okay, who's John going to beat this time? Who's John going that becomes the narrative. And over time, it plays out like everything does. So seeing that there's new faces, man, it's very, very, very exciting. I'm very happy for Jan. I was thinking to myself, like, man, Jan has a record like 28-8. Dominick Reyes has a record of 12-1. If Dom loses this, the chances of him getting a rematch pretty early, man, are very high. And that's off the Jones fight, right? That's off how he lost this fight. But I was like, dude, if Jan loses this one, man, I was like, I don't know, man. You're 37, you're getting older. That window's really shutting, So I'm really glad that he got to do it. I'm such a sucker for hard workers and for people who put in the time. I realize I'm talking extremely fast. You know why that is? Two reasons. One, I love the sport and I'm so passionate about it, and I'm such a big fan, such a big geek. Two, I actually recorded this once and I had audio troubles. So this is the second time I'm going through things. But I think I am really happy for Jan. I'm really happy for Jan. Man, he deserves it. He put in the time and he beat Dominic. So now things get very exciting, because now you can always do Dom versus Jones again. Always. You could always say, hey, John Jones comes back now, he wants to fight Jan. Always. There's another name that he's been on the tip of my tongue, but no one's talked about him. Thiago Santos. He had this amazing fight with John Jones, I want to say 2 years ago. And where he did well, and Jones wasn't able to finish him. Jones wasn't able to finish him and went to a decision. And that's a guy I would love to see back in there again. Thiago Santos versus Dom. Thiago Santos versus Jan. Thiago Santos versus John. That all rhymed. Wow. My English teacher will be proud. Yeah, that's very exciting. I believe Mr. Thiago Santos is fighting Glover Teixeira. So that'd be an interesting one to watch. But this fight was the exact definition of why I will never bet on fights. Literally exact. Everyone was like, yo, man, how can Dom lose? Jan is good, but Dom, man, you just went to town on the GOAT, on the many consider the greatest ever. And if you ask me, I don't know if I'd say John Jones is the definitive GOAT, but I'm not gonna call you crazy for bringing it up. I don't even know if I deny you. I just listen. Just like I listen if someone says GSP or Anderson Silva. Just like if someone says Khabib. But anyways, that's a different story for another time. But, one interesting, I just want to leave you guys with this on this fight. Let me give you a couple stats. When the total strikes were 41 for Jan, 21 for Dom. Significant, Jesus Christ, that's crazy. All the strikes were significant strikes. So no baby shots, no jabs, or if they were. Here's the thing, I'm not going to BS you guys. I don't know what the difference is between a strike and a significant strike. Like hear me out. Like, in essence, you're like, oh, if it was a cross and it rocked him, it's a significant strike for sure. What if it's a jab? Is that a strike or a significant strike? What if it hurt him? What if that jab, busted open a cut on his eyelid? What is that? You know what I mean? So, but anyways, more strikes thrown. Again, really went to the body. That was done really, really, really well by Jan. But again, folks, the note I just want to leave off with this fight is, and Chael Sonnen said this, he was like, when Dominick Reyes went 5 rounds with John Jones, that was his first ever time going to 5 rounds, championship rounds. And I want to say definitively, between everybody who watched, even if we might not agree with the decision, we can all agree that John Jones, we can't all, the majority of the people watching, including myself, agree that the rounds that John Jones won were the later rounds, rounds 4 and rounds 5, the championship rounds, right? Because he's been through so many title fights, he's been through so many 5-round, fights, 5-round bouts, that he's used to that. Whereas for Dom, he believed, and this is Chael Sonnen's hypothesis, which I agree with, losing those later rounds cost him the championship. So he might be going to this fight going, you know what, if there's anything I've learned, is I'm not going to empty out my gas tank right now. I'm going to preserve it for 5 rounds to make sure I can win rounds 3, 4, and 5 if need be. Here's the problem. When he came out versus John Jones, he came out like a bat out of hell. He rushed him. I'm like, Jesus Christ, Dom, you're about to step in there with you know who he is. You don't have to talk about it. And when it starts and Dom rushes Jones and he takes the and he's throwing and they clinch up in knees and you're like, holy shoot. Like, Dom is throwing in there, talk about respecting someone's power. Like, it was just, I don't know what it was in him. He just went and gave it to him. But in this fight, when it starts off, he was a little more passive. He stood back a little bit more. He waited for Jan to make the move. He didn't go out, he didn't exert as much energy. And I do believe a large part of that is him thinking back to that fight with John, is thinking about, you know what, man, let me save this gas tank just in case it goes back to the later rounds. The problem with that is Jan just took advantage of him and he picked him apart. So that was that. I'm excited for the light heavyweight division. Let's see what they've got coming up. I'm very excited for both of them. Jan especially, man, because I feel like Jan needs the title, in my opinion. Dom, title or not, man, I'm going to watch his next fight. For fact, 1,000%. I want to watch Dominick Reyes' next fight. Jan, if he lost this, I'm a fan of MMA. I don't know how eager I'd be to watch his next fight. That's just me, though.